Hi, my name is Tim Nguyen, and for my vlog discussion number 9 on Chapter 6, I chose the essay Has Hollywood Murdered the Movies by David Denby. So the author starts with the statistics saying that 600 or so movies open in the US every year. Therefore, there's always something new to see, and there's always something new to analyze. Movies, especially mainstream American movies, the author notices has had a worrying trend. And this is a trend that movie critics and moviegoers alike have been noticing. And by moviegoers, the author refers to people who actually go out to movie theaters to watch movies, to have that experience of watching a movie. So the business of cinema has become a never-ending production of spectacle and animation. Movie culture has been altered to something very strange than what it used to be. In order to prove this, the author cites the movie The Avengers, made in 2013. The movie had a worldwide box office gross of $1.5 billion, and the movie itself cost in comparison, only $220 million to make. The author describes the movie as mildly entertaining for a while, but it degenerated into a digital slam involving an endless battle of exaggerated pixels. American commercial movies are defined by what Denby calls the instantaneous monumental. Lots of big films are coded by something the author calls corporate irony, where there is a discrepancy between the size of a film compared to its actual significance. Excessive meaningless action produces temporary ecstasy instead of emotional engagement. The memory of action sequences fades into a single blur of brief excitement, instead of the enduring repetition of a great scene playing in one's mind. So, when you watch a movie that's full of action, a lot of explosions everywhere, it's not really emotionally engaging. And if you were asked to remember it, you would remember the whole movie as one blur of excitement, brief excitement, instead of the enduring repetition of great scenes playing in one's mind, which, to my knowledge, I remember watching The Truman Show, and I think there was a scene where his best friend is reassuring him that everything he knows is real, while he is being fed lines by a producer to say that. And I remember that scene was very impactful for me, and I was repeating it in my mind how it played out because it was that emotionally investing for me. It made me emotionally engaged. So back to the essay. Where the author acknowledges that there have been movies that have made that do not rely on rely on spectacle as much, but the thing is that these audiences are not as big as those for spectacles, not and thus they have a lower budget. Not everything a film artist wants to show can be said with a low budget. And the reason for this low audience is that major studios have bought out comic book franchises such as DC and Marvel that appeal to American children. These American children are compelled to watch all sequels and spin-offs of their favorite comic book franchises on the big screen. Now, this has some consequences for those that grow up on these movies. They may not be able to enjoy narratives, devices such as character, wit, irony, suspense, and drama, and they might be so hooked onto spectacle that they may view any film without flashing lights and explosions all throughout as lifeless and boring. Movies have generally abandoned older audiences in order to capitalize on the more impressionable, easier to satisfy youth. So the author concludes by going through a little history of filmmaking. In the beginning, films consisted of views of ordinary things without any stories. They were single, fixed, long-lasting shots of stuff like a train, an ocean, or trees blowing in the wind. But later, people began to tell narratives through this new form, these filmmaking. They told stories. And this is due to the influence from older forms of narrative entertainment, like literature, like books and poems. And what is happening now is like a regression, as Denby puts it. As big movies turn to sheer spectacle with little in the way of plot or story, films are in their narrative significance. Personally, I was never really a so-called moviegoer. I rarely took the opportunity to go to see a movie, and a large part of that was that I found myself largely bored with the movie selection available to me. I was not really a fan of DC or Marvel, so I wasn't really compelled to see the movies from those franchises. But I feel good when I'm able to watch movies with friends and those movies are emotionally engaging because I'll remember the scenes more vividly afterwards. And then consequently, I would also remember the time I spent with my friends more vividly as a result. I hope more movies with engaging narratives are written, as it would make me more willing to go and watch them with my friends. Thank you.